Alison, the online piano tutor. Today I'm just going to teach you very quickly on how to use the sustain pedal on the piano and how to use that properly and how to use it effectively and what it does and all that other good stuff. So I've had a few requests on how to do this, so I'm going to briefly just try to explain the best I can what you would do with that. So I know a lot of people like to use a sustain pedal when they're playing the piano just for themselves or whatever, but a lot of people do have this bad habit of just sticking their foot down on the sustain pedal and not touching it at all. I'll tell you why you shouldn't do that and what you should do instead to get the most out of the sustain pedal. Okay, so this might be a tricky part of the video because I'm actually trying to get my hands on the keys in shot, and I'm also trying to get my foot in shot down at the bottom as well so that you can see. So first of all, if you've got a piano like mine that has the 3 pedals, you want to be using the one on the right. Don't worry about what the other 2 yet. It really doesn't matter at this stage. Perhaps I'll do another video of that later on down the line. But you only really tend to use these other pedals in probably more advanced pieces of music. But definitely the sustain pedal, I would say, from grade-wise, from about grade 3 onwards. You might have a touch of it in grade 2, but probably you'd be using it from about grade 3 and onwards. So the sustain pedal just basically does what it says on the tin, really. It just sustains the notes. So if I held a note myself, this is middle C, you can still actually hear the sound until I actually take my finger off the key, and then you don't have the sound anymore. So I'm sustaining the note myself with my hand. But sometimes what happens if I want to sustain that note but I also want to play some other notes at the same time? Of course I can't keep my finger still on that note, so this is where the pedal comes in. So equally, if I put my finger down on a note, put my foot down on the pedal, as you can see I'm just doing now, take my finger off the note, and again you can still hear and again you can still hear the sound sustaining. Okay, so how you're going to use this pedal is basically I say note goes down, foot comes up. So when you press a note, the foot comes up at the same time. So many people want to play a note and put their foot down at the same time. You're not going to get anything from that, because as soon as you lift your foot up and then very quickly put the note down again, you've lost the sustain. So it has to be an opposite action. Note goes down, foot comes up. So I normally recommend that students just do a little mini scale to start with. So maybe I'm doing this with my left hand because I'm holding the camera with my right hand, unfortunately. So I would recommend that you start with the pedal down. So I'm just putting it down now. So it's down now. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I can assure you my foot is down on the floor. So it's down. It's not sustaining anything because I haven't played anything. So what I'm going to do is play C. Okay, so it's sustaining. What I'm going to do is lift my foot up at the same time as playing the next note and quickly put it down. As soon as it's down, I can lift this finger off. Same thing again. Note goes down, foot comes up. Note goes down, foot comes up. So that way, if I just clear that and do that again, foot is down at the moment. Instead of going, which is what most people want to do, you've lost the sustain of the previous note. Alternatively, people tend to, and that's just too much, it sounds too muddly. So always start with it down, to start with anyway when you're learning. Start with when you start a new piece of music, start with the pedal down. So first note goes down, foot comes up. And then of course it goes quickly down again before you take this one away. That way, every single note you can assure is going to be sustained properly. Now you might be asking, well, when I am playing a piece of music, when do I know how to change the sustain pedal? Well, that's a very difficult question for me to answer right now because obviously it depends on the piece of music, but I would say as a general rule of thumb, which would be a good thing to go by at least, is that most pieces of music you'll be changing say maybe on the beat. So you might be changing on beats 1 obviously, and maybe beats 3 as well possibly. You might change every single beat depending if you've got lots of heavy chords, you won't want to sustain them all the time. Or some pieces you might be able to change at the beginning of every bar, so on the first beat of every bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you change on beat 1 of every bar. Sometimes you get some pieces that actually have a sustain marking underneath it as well, with little arrows. So where the arrows are is where you would need to lift your foot up. So remember, note goes down, foot comes up. Do not change the sustain pedal at the end of any bar. If you want to change the sustain pedal at the beginning of each bar, say beat 1, on beat 1 the foot must come up. It must not come up before beat 1, because that means you've lost a sustain from the previous bar. That's where, as much as people want to keep their foot down on the pedal all the way through a piece of music, a lot of people change at the end of a bar or just before they need to. That is totally the wrong thing to do as well, because that means you've cleared the sustain pedal. So when you want to change, so let's just say the arrow is at the beginning of every bar, beat 1, soon as you play the note that comes on beat 1, the foot must come up and then it quickly goes down. It sounds really odd, but it must be an opposite action. Note goes down, foot comes up, so it's an opposite action. That's what I always say. So just changing at maybe at the beginning of every bar, or if the music says if it doesn't, the only other thing you can rely on is your ear. That will tell you whether you need to change the sustain or not. So if you feel the sound becoming very muddly, so if you've got a lot of different chords that sound very different to each other, then obviously you'll need to change on them. But just experiment, and as my old teacher always used to say to me, just use your ear. Your ear will tell you everything you need to know. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. It's just a quick one, just to give you a small insight into how to use the pedal. If any of you out there have maybe wanted to know how to use a pedal and not quite known how to do it properly. So hopefully this has helped you a little bit. Any questions, leave them in the comments bar underneath, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.